Hello everyone, welcome to Grow Your Future with Luxland. I am Zar, CEO of Luxland. Today we are joined by my co-hosts, as always, Jade and Mark. How are you?
G'day, how are you?
How are you?
I'm a little bit sick.
Yes, you are a little bit sick and you have been under the weather, but you've been battling it out, which is good.
So I'm relying on you guys to set the tone tonight.
We'll light it up for you.
We will.
So Mark, set the tone.
All right, guys, so tonight we'll be talking about why the small steps matter. And to give you a bit of an understanding, this is talking about compounding and how, when you start small, it will eventually, over time, end up being big. So to give you a quick rundown, compounding is the process where the value of an investment increases. And in tonight's episode, we're not talking about just financially, we're also talking about ourselves as an investment, and where we start off small. And to give you a quick little example, it's a very interesting example, actually. If you took 1 cent over 30 days and you doubled it every day, so 1 cent became 2, 2 became 4, etc., etc., by the 30th day, 30 straight days, you would have $5,368,709.12. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
So almost $5.4 million after 30 consecutive days.
By doubling every single day.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
But it's real.
It's real, yeah. They're real numbers, and if you go get yourself a calculator, do it yourself.
Compound is real.
I've done it about 10 times just to make sure, but it is real. 5,000, no, a long time. It was So that just gives you an example on like how important it is, which is something we've been hammering into our clients, hammering into ourselves even, about the compound effect and how important it is for people to, start from small steps and just do those small steps every single day in, day out, day in, day out. So, Jade, how do you are you in the process right now of doing small steps to get to a bigger picture, or have you reached your bigger picture yet? What's the story there?
I think everyone is. I don't think I speak for a lot of people out there that, have we gotten to the bigger picture? What's the bigger picture? And I suppose when you get to a particular point in your life, you've always got more things to do, don't you? You don't just stop at one thing. So, but the key to getting to where you want to go, or you need to go, is taking those small steps, those small action steps. And that's just all a part of goal setting, I think. You can't kick goals, you can't achieve goals without those small intermediate steps along the way. And to get there, I think it needs to be well thought out, carefully articulated and reviewed constantly.
Definitely. Zara, this one is directed at you. Being consistent on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. This is I obviously am with you every day practically, and obviously so is Jade, but seeing you and hearing about your daily routines and structures, how important is it to you for the compound effect on your life to get to the bigger picture?
For me, it's absolutely critical to review it, on almost a daily basis, to make sure that you can constantly improve on where you're going and what you're doing towards your goals. I know we always use fitness analogies, like with, comparing it to financial, matters. But it's true. Like, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, I started doing cardio religiously every morning. And I was out of shape. I started out doing like 10, 15 minutes on a treadmill. Mm-hmm. And it was only like 2 or 3 times a week. And then now I'm like a minimum of 1 hour of cardio, like hardcore cardio, every morning, 7 days a week without fail, I think because I was sick, the last 24 hours, it was probably the first morning session that I've missed in God knows how long, probably about a year. But my fitness is through the roof. I've never been fitter in my life, and I've never felt better. And that is a result from constant improvement on that daily routine, and that has the compound effect. Like that constant seeking for improvement and never ever missing a session has turned my body into this, this fitness machine. And it's the same with wealth, and a lot of people don't apply the small little incremental changes that they should be making in their lives to help compound good effects later on, because they're too impatient. And we live in a society now where everyone expects things instantly. Instant gratification is big, because we can, you can Google for information straight away, where before you had to actually research for it. Now we can find out answers to things instantly. So people expect instant results in other areas of their life. So by not putting in the hard work now and making those incremental changes, people aren't going to achieve the results that they're really yearning for. So it's a shame, because a lot of people are missing out, and they're doing things for the short term. The compound effect doesn't really take effect in, let's say, property, for example, until you've hit the 10 to 15 year mark, which is very, very long term. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't get into property because they don't see the instant results. They'll go into something which might be a much higher risk, but the risk of losing is quite big. So they might go into a high risk business, and a lot of the times they lose out because they haven't seen out that compounding process.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's almost like the gold rush era, where everyone jumped on board and everyone was panning gold and stuff like that, because it was like, oh, it's instant, it's there. But how many of those people lasted over the duration of that time? I think a few people, from what I've done my research on it years ago, I think I remember a lot of people just kind of cashed in, and that was it, and that was it. And then it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen 10 years later down the track, and all those other bits and pieces.
Well, it's like property now. With property, everyone wants to jump on board with property now, because we're at the top of the cycle. We're in an overheated market. There's prices are through the roof, so everyone can see that there's money to be made in property. But in actual fact, property is a long-term game. It's definitely a 10 to 20 to 30 year, game plan. So, it doesn't matter if you get in now or at the end of next year or whatever it is. Your plan should always to be hold for the long term, so you can get the effects of compounding. Now, compounding doesn't start in property until literally 3-4 years down the track, or depending on what stage of the cycle you're at.
Correct, yeah.
So a lot of people only think about now. That's the problem. People want to think about how much money they can make instantly now, and it's just not the case. You know what I mean? I've got money put into development sites that aren't going to come to fruition until about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you've got to have that long-term mindset.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing here, knowledge uninvested is time wasted, which I know both of you can strongly agree on. But I was going to direct this one at you, Jade, about knowledge uninvested is time wasted. I think with your professional career and entrepreneurial career, that is something that you're very good at, time management, and knowing where to invest it in the right areas. You know what I mean? I don't think you leave any time uninvested ever. That's what I gather anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think I went out to social media today to talk about, wearing many different hats in any given day. And I really meant it. And it's because, what I was feeling at the time, every single day, I personally need to wear many different hats every day.
Yep. In
my career, my entrepreneurial life, with our businesses and what we're trying to do. And you have to be time efficient, and every second counts, every minute counts. Use it wisely, and be, going back to what Zara said before, being consistent over a period of time will build up that compound effect and help you with your day. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Something here that I think both of you as well will really appreciate is what you appreciate appreciates. You know, that's something we've spoken about, Zah, a lot in the office over the last, call it 10 months or so, about, you know, people wanting to get into the market, for example, in the property market. You know, if they're going to go use parents as guarantors, they don't appreciate that asset, you know, and if, let's say, you know, God forbid they lost that asset, it's going to kind of be like, well, you know, I've just lost mum and dad their deposit and on their house, and you know, it's not all peachy at the moment, but you know, it's okay. I'm unscathed because they have no skin in the game. But I find that one there, I feel resonates with you quite a lot. What you appreciate appreciates, you know. So you take care of it. Again, compound effect takes place.
I think for me, it's because I've probably come from nothing. Where, you know, I moved to Sydney about 12, 13 years ago, and you know, I didn't even have a bed. You know, I was sleeping on a mattress on a floor with, you know, two other guys who, you know, were renting in the same apartment as me, and you know, I really did come. I came with debt, you know, and so I had to work my way up from nothing. So for me to appreciate everything and anything that I have is big for me, and you know, I think a lot of people, because they don't take those small steps, they don't come from nothing. A lot of people these days, especially millennials, get things handed to them, and there's nothing wrong with getting things handed to you. It's just that you need to be grateful for where it comes from, and you need to value it almost more than the person who has handed it to you. You know, I've always been. I try not to really use other people's money unless it's, you know, the bank's money.
Correct, yeah.
But you know, like there are people out there who get funding for businesses, for example, and they treat the money like, you know, it's just so free flowing. They don't really appreciate where it comes from, and then all of a sudden things fall down, and they go, oh well, you know, all falls down. But when it's your own money and when it's your own assets that you're concentrating on, it feels different. You know what I mean? A lot of people, you know, they criticize my work, and they criticize of what I achieved, and you know, we live in Australia where tall poppy syndrome is rife. You know what I mean? It's massive, and
worse than ever.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, why do you do some of the things that you do? Why you spend your money on some of the things that you spend your money on?" And it's like, well, are you paying my bills?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, are you the one who helped me make my wealth? Because, you know, a lot of people are quick to point and laugh, but they haven't gone through that compounding process themselves. And, you know, like, it's a wonderful feeling when you've built your wealth yourself, whether it be, you know, financially or, you know, mentally or whatever it is, right? If you've built that yourself, the more you're going to appreciate it. You know, and I think a lot of people look past that, because a lot of people are looking for shortcuts. They're looking for handouts. They're looking for a leg up, you know, a bit of a start. And it's okay to get those sort of things, because we all need to leverage ourselves in one way or another. Yeah. But, you know, it's important to do a lot of things yourself. And it's only by instilling those incremental habits from early on in your life that will compound for the rest of your life.
It's funny as well. I mean, excuse me, going on the what you appreciate appreciates. I when I did have a license a few years back, but I did have at one stage a Rodeo Ute, for example, and I put a lot of effort into that car. I didn't spend so much money, but I picked that Ute up for, call it, I think it was $10,000, and I put a lot of TLC into it, changed the engine, did this, did that. I appreciated it. I had a lot of fun with it and whatnot. I ended up selling it for about $17,000, and you know, with the work that I'd put on it and stuff like that, I may have only profited $500 or thereabouts. But even it doesn't matter. The car had gotten older. I'd actually made a profit. It was because I appreciated that car, and the previous owner obviously didn't. It was, you know, kilometers on kilometers on kilometers, and that didn't bother me. But I thought, okay, it just needs a bit of, you know, a bit of this, bit of that. Always give it a polish. Always do this. Always do that. It was